we walk up to the border guard and the border crossing there. We're coming off the plane, and you're ready for the standard questions about, you hand your passport, stuff like that. And they basically asked me, he says, we have 2 questions. I said, okay, what's the name of the team and when are we going to win the Stanley Cup? I said, I don't know, and I'm going to start working on it.
That's Jets General Manager Kevin Cheveldayoff, our special guest here on Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets. Tyler Esquivel, Jamie Thomas, the gang's all here, along with Daniel Moss behind the cameras. He'll do all the heavy lifting later. The play of the week and your comments coming up in the mailbag regarding the Jets trade deadline acquisitions coming up, and we'll hear from Tyler about that as well. But first, as we always do to kick off the show, we got to find out, what is Tyler wearing? What exactly are you wearing today?
I'm wearing the CCM pullover hoodie. The color is pewter. Pewter, P-E-W-T-E-R, pewter. I really hope I spelled that right.
Does it come in other colors?
Yeah, there's like a darker beige one, if you catch my drift. It's kind of like that
Beigey.
It's like Carhartt material. They just got some free ad, but I don't really care.
Okay. The check's coming later for you on that one.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Direct deposit.
Yeah, but it's also nice. But the pewter is more my style.
Obviously, Jets Gear is where you.
Yep, Jets Gear. All Jets Gear locations. They have a few of them around the city. St. Patel, Kildonan Place, and down here downtown, and also Polo Park. And of course, if you can't get to the mall, TrueNorthShop.com. They got everything there.
You're getting really good at that now, so it's just like.
Well, you had to remind me, to be honest. I kind of forgot for a second.
It's how it's delivered. That's all that matters. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you forgot.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Jets would like to forget what happened on Saturday in Vancouver after a very impressive win over the Seattle Kraken. They lose 5-0, and there was kind of an air of confidence, I would say, in the dressing room yesterday, and certainly from head coach Rick Bowness, that the team was going to bounce back. And did they ever? It was an impressive 3-0 win over Washington, and a lot of people will say, okay, well, Washington isn't in the playoffs, but Washington was one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL since January 27th. They were scoring 3.67 goals per game, so just under 4, and they had won 7 of their last 10. So they were rolling, and they're trying to get their way back into the playoff situation in the Eastern Conference. So you should never downplay a win, but what we should upgrade on is just how well the Jets played after what happened in Vancouver.
Yeah, absolutely. A game that the Jets didn't like out in Vancouver. Don't need to go on about it too much. But, you look at the game on Monday night here at Canada Life Center. The Winnipeg Jets, high danger chances for 17 against only 5 goals, expected goals over 3 for Winnipeg, and 1.75, I think it was, for Washington. And Spencer Carberry had some very, I kind of take when coaches compliment the other team. You take it for what it is, but I also kind of read into it like he just didn't really like what his team was doing either. And from the bird's eye view of the press box, it looked like the Winnipeg Jets had just a ton more room out there than the Washington Capitals were giving them. So Winnipeg rebounds with a great 3-0 win over Washington, and they just shut the Capitals down for the whole night. It just didn't seem like they ever had a lot. I mean, Washington was good right off the hop.
Yeah, first face off. We're gonna get into that in a second. And you just mentioned Spencer Carberry. His quote was just right from the start. It just felt like to me when I was standing there watching. Not was just bigger, faster, stronger. Every facet they just were. So you got to tip your cap, which we hear Bones say quite a bit to the other team. When the Jets play a bad game. That's a really good team that just got better with Toffoli and Monahan and those guys. It just felt like they were bigger, stronger on pucks, and they were just way quicker than us everywhere. So, end quote, of course, on that situation. So, like you said, whenever an opposing coach, they are criticizing their team, but they are giving credit to the Jets, and I think that says a lot. And
what did you think of Ovi last night?
Pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But you still see, like, he's starting to score again, so I was always worried, of course.
He had a couple.
Yeah, good looks.
Well, and I think we say good looks because they're Alexander Ovechkin. Mm-hmm. I think if any other player in the league gets those looks, I don't necessarily know if you go, he got his chances. But
he can score from anywhere. That's
yeah. But hold on, I'm going to go off script here. Let's talk about Ovi for a second. I mean, it's a pretty special career that he's in the middle of, and they were talking about this on the radio as I was driving in yesterday, just how many more times we're going to be able to see Alexander Ovechkin. Just over your time covering this league, what is watching him and players like him in that sphere mean to you?
it's special because now I'm dating myself, but even watching Gretzky growing up was something else. And now I feel like my dad sometimes, like, you don't even understand how good this guy was. So now you're going to be able to say down the road to how good Sidney Crosby was. How good Alexander Ovechkin was. And the fact that, and we just touched on it, the fact that you're kind of hesitant whenever he shoots the puck because you're like, I don't know, this could go in because he just scores from everywhere. And when the Capitals go in the power play, you're just terrified of the one-timer that they've seen him set up 1,000,000 times. The Jets took that away yesterday.
Yeah.
And they took away we hear this a lot, time and space.
Yep.
But Alexander Ovechkin did not have a whole lot of time and space yesterday.
No, he didn't. And he doesn't look as bulldogish as he has in years past. But the one player that did stick out to me on that team was Miroshnichenko.
Yeah.
Really good young.
Plays on the line with Ovechkin. He's like
gritty too. Like he was everywhere. Like he was not afraid to throw like limbs everywhere. And it seemed like he was kind of Ovi Jr. And I mean, for a Russian kid, that's obviously got to be pretty cool.
I saw the video on the Caps Twitter page when he scored his first NHL goal, and who was there to give him a hug on the bench? It's Ovechkin. So it's special. It must be to play with him.
You're right. You are dating yourself, calling it a Twitter page.
That's true. Yeah, we're not going to get out. I'm not going to try and correct myself on that one. I did ask Adam Lowry last night about how confident he was the Jets were going to bounce back, and here's that comment right now.
Yeah, extremely confident, I think. We talked about the game. We watched some clips and saw areas where we could clean up, and I think we got off to a better start. We really got behind the 8 ball against Vancouver, and tonight I think our first 10 minutes were great. We had some chances. We got the lead, which is kind of new for us. We haven't been scoring a whole lot in the first period, so I think as the game went on, we just kept chipping away and kind of imposing our style, as opposed to trying to play theirs. And I think, when we do that, good things happen.
We defended a lot better. We spent less time in our zone. We spent a lot of time in their zone. We still like to create a little more offense, but the big thing was that we defended much better. We stayed above them. We slowed them down a little bit when we could. We didn't let them dictate the pace of the game like we did in Vancouver.
Jets are 27-3-1 and have the best win percentage in the league when they score first. So you heard Adam refer to the fact they haven't scored first a whole lot, but now you know how important that is, especially this time of year. They get that first goal in the first period, and it feels like everything built off of that. Before that first goal, you and I were sitting beside each other in the press box, and the first shift of the game. So you've got Tyler Toffoli, you've got Colin Miller. Everybody's excited.
That was awesome.
New lines, great. They started on the ice, and that first shift, it was like
a little nervous.
He felt a lot of people nervous, but who wasn't nervous? Connor Hellebuyck, and made a big save right away off the top of the game, and that is just not a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it earlier. He wasn't the busiest goaltender in the game, that's for sure, but he made everything look easy, and that's what Connor Hellebuyck does when he's on his game. I can't tell you what his record is coming off a loss, but I know it's good.
Yeah.
So you could tell too that I think he took the 5-0 loss in Vancouver personally, and routinely when the team doesn't have it going, which happens, Rick Bowness will come off the ice and allude to the fact that we had nobody going except Connor Hellebuyck is really good.
Yeah.
He didn't say that in Vancouver. And
first time this year, really.
Yeah. And so, clearly Connor probably would agree. Like, he didn't like what he gave up. I'm sure all 5 aren't his fault, but I'm sure 1 or 2 he wasn't a fan of. So, he goes out and proves himself that he's probably the leading Vezina candidate in the league this year, you'd have to think. So I think you have to love what you saw from Connor Hellebuyck, and I've said this time and time again on this podcast. It is time for the best players to be the best players, and he did that last night, and hopefully he can keep riding that this week.
Fourth shutout of the year. He has 30 wins, one of 3 American-born goaltenders to record 5 30-win campaigns.
Fantastic.
So if you don't believe what Tyler and I have to say, well, we have some people to back up just how good Connor Hellebuyck was last night and is overall.
You talk about a timely save, that's it, right there. It was. All of a sudden, we won the face-off. So it kind of a broken play, but we talk a lot about timely goals and timely saves. That's right up there with the timely save.
Right. I mean, he's dialed in every day, and I think he makes saves when we need him, and he steps up in a big way. So he's a huge part of this team.
I love whenever we're going into trade deadline, how the narrative usually around this hockey club is that Kevin Cheveldayoff doesn't do a whole lot at the trade deadline. So just
Like, literally not true.
It's so disappointing to hear, and I understand that not everybody's really aware of what goes on all the time around here because of it's a small market and thus. But just to hear that narrative, it's kind of tiring. However, a lot of people gave Kevin Cheveldayoff, Jets management, organization, some good marks about what they did on Friday. You were in Seattle. It's always interesting to be around the team when deals are going on. You're always trying to wonder, what is everybody feeling? What is everybody thinking? Because you're probably looking around and going, is that guy gone? Is he on the move? If we're going to try and improve this team,
I know. Like you said, being around the team, it's awkward. I mean, that morning I get into the elevator with a player that I'm like, maybe I don't ride down the elevator with you. Maybe I don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of weird. It's kind of everybody's on eggshells, and I mean, certain guys
know.
They know they're not going anywhere. That's
but it's
fine.
still hard to think of a teammate going.
Yeah, I didn't even like
your friends.
The on ice part is separate. I think too. Like you have a life here, whether like fans love you or not. Like that's you have a family probably. You've got stuff going on here, and for all that to be gone and one phone call, it can be tough. So it's a bit of a weird day.
So they add Tyler Toffoli.
Yep.
And this is not funny, but ironic. Separate deals. They go back to the Devils and they bring Colin Miller.
Yeah.
A right-handed shot on the blue line, which the Jets have had a lack of over the years.
Yep. Well, to be honest, every team.
Yeah, right-handed shot defensemen are rare. Good ones.
If you have a child that's right-handed and you intend on putting them in hockey, or they want to play hockey,
play defense.
Put them on defense.
Yeah.
They will go
Forget
far.
the goaltending part of it.
Yeah.
It's way too expensive.
No
offense to the people out there that want to be a goaltender, but it's just like but right shot defensemen are valuable. So Tyler Toffoli, Colin Miller come to the team. They literally don't join up with the team in Seattle and Vancouver, of course, but they come here Monday, morning skate. That's it. They're in the lineup.
Yeah.
There's you're wondering, is Colin Miller going to play? It's hard to get as a defenseman to get used to your new teammates, but Colin Miller's been around a while, as has Tyler Toffoli. So the excitement that goes along with this trade, and it's everywhere, being around the team as you were this past weekend, I wonder about what it was like around the team. Let's just talk about Seattle because Vancouver, another story.
Yeah, I think it was just there was optimism.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to call it cautious optimism because on one hand it was very exciting because the Winnipeg Jets added two veteran guys, one of which has won a cup before. Tyler Toffoli came here, tied for the team lead in goals at 26. So this guy can put the puck in the back of the net. And then you talk about Miller, veteran defenseman, right shot. He's going to be a plug and play somewhere. You don't know if there's going to be some sort of rotation here. So he's kind of the unknown. But I mean, if Jets fans remember, he played for Vegas back in 2017-18.
Yeah. And was a big part of that team.
He was a big part of that team. Yeah. So what's there with that player. Even though that was a handful of years ago, he's still a good player. So there was excitement around that. But then there was also this element of, okay, that's something that we can't worry about today because they aren't coming to help us. There's no saving us right now. And I think the game in Seattle, the game in Seattle was, let's take care of business and get the heck out of here. And the Winnipeg Jets did just that. I got to say that was, I don't even know what it would have been like to stay up late here in Central Time Zone because it was not the most of entertaining games.
Yeah, no, the first two periods were hard.
Yeah, the third was good. But
it was a reminder, though, of what the game is like in the playoffs. That's what it's tight checking and there's not a lot of room.
Exactly.
Obviously, a little more intensity in the playoffs.
For sure.
Those first two periods, I think, in Seattle are good. I mean, that you have to stick to your game, not looking for offense because of what happens otherwise.
Yeah, everybody was excited, but they knew that was later in the future, but the team was the team on the weekend.
Tyler Toffoli, Colin Miller making their debuts, the Winnipeg Jets. Here's Kyle Connor on his new teammates and their performance on Monday night.
Yeah, they were great. Obviously, two veteran players. I think Toffoli, you can see his game. He had a couple of chances tonight. He seems to find that soft area. He's hard on pucks, very responsible out there. And then, even Mills, you can see he got the pucks through, playing hard, tough to play against. I mean, these guys are going to help out for us, and, we need everybody.
Both of them played very, very well. They're a good fit. I like the look of that Sean's line. There's good chemistry there already with Alex and he. So No, that line looked really good, and both new guys, give them credit because they haven't skated in a few days, right, since the trade. So give them both credit for coming out and giving us a really good effort.
I'm Lauren Brossois,
Hailing, centering pass. What a stop by Brossois!
and this is a Ground Control podcast.
All right, we've heard from us. We've heard from the players. Now time to listen to you and your comments on Twitter. We asked what you thought of the Jets trade deadline acquisitions. Bells said Chevy had a masterclass. No frills Dino. This deadline secures Chevy's nomination for GM of the year, if not the win. Brad Lambert fan club. I love how we didn't give up any prospects for rental players. I know who he's talking about, obviously.
Yeah, of course the Brad Lambert fan club is happy.
Yeah, Anna said the big moves that were made really seemed like Chevy went out and got the right pieces for the Jets puzzle. And Steminist, Chevy for the win. He's so good at quietly finding treasure, as he is.
I would agree with that. It seems like every time a situation like this comes around, you know, he does his thinking. He's very methodical with stuff. And, you know, you look at the draft lot that the Winnipeg Jets have ahead of them. Yeah, they don't have a first-round pick, but they have Montreal's second.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty high up.
You'd have to think. So probably giving away that, not giving away, but trading that first-round pick for Sean Monahan.
There's a lot of
Pretty
thought
nice.
process goes into that, and of course we will talk with Kevin Cheveldayoff a little bit later about just that, the process that goes into giving up a first-round pick. Play of the week is up next on the ladder here. I mean, it's really, you think about so many things that happened over the weekend and leading up to this game, and you know what? We're going to surprise you. I'm not going to lead into it, but here is the play of the week.
Around for Borg, and they'll let it go to McCann. And somehow Morrissey kept that in. Down for Shifley. Scores! Josh Morrissey starting the play, holding it at the line. Shifley has the game's first goal. It's 1-0 Jets.
You've been here pretty much the same amount of time as I have.
Yep.
We have worked very closely with Kevin Cheveldayoff around here on the road. We've been on planes with him. We've been in visiting opposing rinks. He's treated me with a lot of respect. I'm sure you feel the exact same way. But I think
Absolutely.
Having him on this podcast is special because you just get the best part about this is I've had time to listen to all the questions people have had to ask him from the trade deadline. You have time to think about what you want to ask him. June 8th, 2011.
There better be no repeat questions. We haven't taped it, by the way.
That's right. Yes, I have the transcription of the press conference that he had after the trade deadline. But he's a wonderful guy, has done a wonderful job this past 12 plus years for this hockey team in a very unique market. So here's Kevin Cheveldayoff. Pleased to be joined by General Manager Kevin Cheveldayoff. On a day like Friday when a lot of good things happen, do you allow yourself to celebrate just a little? And I realize there's a big task in front of you, but do you celebrate just a little?
Well, again, your group's all around you, so you're pretty intense. You're kind of running against the clock as well. If you're trying to do something that is up against the clock. But once it's all kind of said and done, and you go through the recap. Obviously, the group has put in a lot of hard work. The pro scouts, have done their job now, and you do. Feel good, but in the same breath, there's still, recapping a lot of different things in your mind as to, how the processes went. But you're looking forward to the next game, really, is what it is. You're looking forward to a chance to get to watch, the players that you acquire on a day like that play. So, yesterday was really, the day that the first game when you get a chance to see them, that you're kind of anxious to see how it all unfolds.
Take us through this a little bit and help us understand a little bit. When division rivals or conference rivals are doing something, Colorado makes a big splash, Dallas makes a big splash. Why does that not affect what you guys do in some ways?
Well, again, we started our process when we identified that we wanted a centerman, and we were able to, get Sean Monahan when we did. And it wasn't necessarily, okay, well, what's Dallas going to do, or what's Colorado going to do, or what's Vegas going to do, or whatever. It's watching your team and trying to assess the needs, but even more importantly, trying to, understand, is there really a player that you want or you covet that might, help you kind of push forward or address your needs. And sometimes there's not. And, there's, so it's all about opportunity really when it comes to the trade deadline, opportunity to get the right fit. So it's not, well, they made a move, we better make a move, because sometimes those can backfire if that fit's not right.
Because it's a dangerous game to play, right?
You've got a lot of chemistry things on your team too. And again, making the moves doesn't guarantee anything. When Washington, ultimately won the cup, their year, they made a couple of depth moves, and those depth moves ended up paying off down the line when those players came in. But they really didn't touch their core. They didn't touch or add to the main part of it. So. It's just you have to be honest with yourself and believe in their group's assessment, believe in your coach's assessment. Even your players, you have some conversations with them and talk through some different scenarios, because ultimately the game's played on the ice. It's not played on paper.
I've heard Rick say fit. You say fit quite often. How do you know someone's going to be a good fit in your room, in your dressing room, and on the ice?
Well, you're assessing lots of things. You try to find as much as you can about the person's character and their. Which is, again, there's scouting with your eyes, but there's also scouting with your ears as well. And I think that's what the pro scouts are challenged to do all the time. They have a network of people that they deal with. It's not only about what you see, it's about, what you know about the player as well. And then again, it's just, when you do watch them play, you watch and see, the different aspects of the game. And, with a player like, Tyler Toffoli, like what really comes, what you're really, the benefit of what you're getting as well as a winner. You're getting someone that, has played in the game's biggest moments, has, done good things in the game's biggest moments, knows how to play, when, the chips are down, so to speak, because, ultimately, for us to be successful, we're going to have to play a certain way. And any team that wins a championship, that is truly the case. And having players with experience like that, or being able to acquire a player with experience like that, is invaluable.
How invaluable is 128 games of playoff experiences, which is what you brought in with Tyler Toffoli and Colin Miller? Well,
again, I think, Tyler's experienced the highs of winning, and Colin, has had the opportunity to go to the finals and just know how hard it is to get there and what it takes to the next, get to the next step. And I think, anytime, you have those kind of experiences, good or bad, you grow from them as a player and you learn and it's about imparting that wisdom, and it's about having that insatiable desire to want to win.
How important was it to not take somebody from your current roster and any of your prospects?
Well, again, it's that it ebbs and flows, I guess, what the costs of acquiring something are. Fortunately for us, we were able to, get a little creative, I guess, in the spreading out of the draft picks and not necessarily trying to, gut any one particular year. Certainly our Montreal second round pick was, it was coveted. That, kind of becomes nerve-wracking at times, because obviously that's the first ask of every team. When you're talking about a second-round pick, they want to go to the highest mark. So, that's where you get nervous about, when you're in a Toffoli deal offering a third and a second, that you can ultimately get it done without touching that. So those are the, I guess, tough gut calls you have to make, and fortunately for us, it worked.
Murat Atesh brought up a great point about the decision, Brian Little, that allowed you guys to make the moves earlier and up until this point. His photos up in the dressing room, his photos up in the press box. He's a quiet guy, but a big presence. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so he's obviously someone that's pretty special to the organization, still, and it's unfortunate how things worked out for him, but he's always in a lot of players' minds, and he's a good friend, I think, still to this day to a lot of players. There's lots of communication there. I'm happy that I guess our alumni is starting to really take shape, because I think when we start getting a lot of players like like Brian or Matty Perreault or Buff or all those guys, and when we can start getting them back, I think that'll speak volumes to to the players that are playing here. That you're never forgotten as a Jet. It's you're always part of the family here, and that we can make Winnipeg a special place to play for the players that are here now, but and remember the players that paved the way.
I think of Buff and Blake Wheeler's 1,000 game video, the eruption of the crowd.
Yeah.
Could you must have got chills out of that too, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's obviously Buff, he's a unique player, but I'm sure he's getting his thrills catching those largemouth bass now, or smallmouth bass, whatever they are.
June 8th, 2011, your first day hired by the Winnipeg Jets. What do you remember about that day?
Well, I remember, coming across the border and, was there with my family, and at that point in time, we walk up to the border guard and the border crossing there. We're coming off the plane, and you're ready for the standard questions about, you hand your passport, stuff like that. And they basically asked me, he says, we have 2 questions. I said, okay. What's the name of the team, and when are we going to win the Stanley Cup? I said, I don't know, and I'm going to start working on it. So, you could tell right then and there that, there was a lot of, passion, a lot of excitement, within the community when the team came back.
Man, it's 12 and a half years now. How special has it been that you've been with Zinger, you've been with Larry, you've been the majority of the scouting staff? It has been here. That's unique.
Yeah.
And
so
how special is that?
It's really special. And I guess my relationships either with Zinger and Larry go farther, back than just that relation. That time there now. Like Zinger, I've known Zinger since I was 15 years old in the Brandon Wheat King organization when he was the equipment manager and trainer, and I was still trying to be an up and coming player. And then Larry and I have worked together for many years. When he's been the assistant GM of the Atlanta Thrashers, essentially since their inception, and his experience is just has been invaluable, and both of their friendships are something that you lean on as well. And Mark Hillier's been a part of the organization. Pete Ratchek was one of our early hires there, and now both those guys are running our pro and our amateur staffs. Again, we're a small group. If you actually probably look at the media guides of different teams and stuff like that, we're probably one of the smaller staffs from a number standpoint within the league, and for me, I think that lends to a lot of efficiency. I think it lends to a lot of autonomy, and that's kind of, I think, been the hallmark of how we've operated on the hockey operations side, is that I feel that this is everyone's organization. It's never just mine, and it's never just my decision. And fortunately, I get all the accolades, but really the people that make those ultimate hard decisions, or recommend that we make those ultimate hard decisions, are the people that do the work for us each and every day on the hockey ops side.
So how nice is it? I know it's business, but how nice is it when the scouting staff comes before the trade deadline, and then on top of that, when everybody gets together for the draft? Yeah,
so we really missed that. I think during COVID, there was a lot of things that again happened during that time, but as we really saw, we operate well when we can connect, and I think it's just human nature when you get a chance to be together and try to do those things. There's just that efficiency, and that there would we really missed that opportunity during COVID to meet as a group. The camaraderie, because it's not always highs. There's lows too. When you're not successful, everyone feels it, and everyone shares in that. And again, we're in this together. Right from the beginning, every single decision that we've ever tried to make has been about winning. And when you don't, you ask yourself the hard questions, and so when you're in that group setting, when you're with that group, there is that strength, that everyone kind of gains from each other as well, and so that's what makes it a great team effort. And there's a team on the ice, but there's a really strong team off the ice as well.
I'm going to take you back to the draft in 2011 again. When you drafted Adam Lowry in the 3rd round, did you have any idea that this guy was going to be your future captain at some point? And I know it's hard to look down the road that way, but did you have a feeling?
Yeah, at that point, I think, that we knew we were drafting a real character player. Adams path to the NHL was not a straight linear one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had a lot of work to do, and we knew that he was going to be a player that was going to, you know, put the work in. So, you know, you could really start to see his leadership qualities there in Swift and when he was playing. But then when we got him, you know, into the development side, you know, in St. John's, and you know, you could really begin to see that, you know, this guy is a true leader. But you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of work that gets put into it, and you know, we're really proud that you know, the job or the work that a player like, you know, Mark Scheifele and Adam Lowry are two, you know, first picks in that draft that have really, you know, helped lay just such a unbelievable foundation for the franchise.
And you think about all the homegrown talent that you still have on this roster, it must feel pretty good.
You know, again, it's you know, it's come over a period of time,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, again, the testament to the, you know, the hard work of the scouts, hard work of the development staff, hard work and a lot of them have come through the Moose as well, or St. John's and the Moose. You know, and again, it's about, you know, trusting the process, believing in the process, and you know, it is nice when, you know, you see a player like, you know, Connor Hellebuck, you know, just, you know, do the things that he's done, and it's even more gratifying when, you know, they double down again and want to be a part of, you know, trying to bring a winner to Winnipeg.
Last one for you. How special was last night when the fans were chanting again? I know that was a big part of when you guys first got here. The chants were rolling and stuff like that. Did you kind of feel the energy building up here as we get closer to the playoffs?
Well, you know, again, ultimately, that's what you're here for, is to entertain and to you know, make people feel proud, and you know, so that's something that, again, keeps you awake at night. You know, for sure, that you want to do the best that you can. You know, I've been given just a tremendous opportunity here by, you know, True North and the Winnipeg Jets and the city of Winnipeg and just the fans to, you know, be a part of this, be a part of the community. And, you know, ultimately, I just want to make them proud.
Thanks so much for your time, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks very much.
2 more games in this homestand as we record this.
Yep.
Nashville's coming here on Wednesday, the day of this
That's a biggie.
podcast. Like, Nashville is fascinating to me because you're looking at them, they're not going to make the playoffs. Now all of a sudden
They're doing it to themselves again.
Yeah. Like, that conversation about UC Saros could be on the move. I'm like, there's no way they move him, because you could never get the value that what UC Saros provides.
Totally.
And there's a great example of that here. If you ever traded Connor Hellebuck, it would be impossible to replace him. You better have a real good plan. And I felt the same way about with that UC Saros conversation too. So Nashville, always a handful. And then Anaheim comes here on Friday, and then it's the trip of all trips.
To the big city, New York.
And
Columbus.
The longest road trip of the year, I believe, 5 games. So it's
it's a long one.
And spread out.
Team leaves Saturday afternoon and then returns the following Sunday evening.
Yeah, that's a long trip.
That's a long one.
Yeah, did a lot of walking around New York, but we're not getting into that. We don't have time for that. There's other things to go. But I appreciate you, as always, coming on the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Next week, I imagine we do this pod, we're going to be doing it on the Zoomis.
Yeah, probably on Zoom.
Yeah.
But I'm curious where I should record it.
Yeah, we're going to have to think about that.
Like, is it from the hotel? Is it from a popular landmark?
Oh, yeah.
Where's the bench that the pigeon lady hangs out from Home Alone?
That's where you have to, Central Park, you have to do it from there.
Okay.
Yeah. Figure it out.
We'll sort something. What if I did it from like the top of the Empire State Building or something? I don't like heights.
I don't like them either. Just don't. If you have your back to everything.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of time to come with that. But appreciate you for coming on the podcast. Many thanks to Kevin Cheveldayoff for joining us. Many thanks for Daniel Moss for all the work he's going to do to put this together after we record it. And as he always does, he's got a straight face right now. I know things are going for him. They're rolling. He's thinking, what else do I have to do here to make these people happy? Thanks for watching Ground Control. Thanks for listening to Ground Control. We'll see you next week.